Welcome back to episode 4 of Building the Ultimate Garage. Today, we are doing some massive upgrades in here. In the last episode, we painted all of our walls, we got our new lights installed, but today, the really big stuff is happening. Say goodbye to the boring old concrete floor. That is gonna be replaced with some beautiful epoxy. And the other thing that we're doing today is finally changing out this old, nasty garage door for something sleek and modern. Right now though, we need to focus on getting this new garage floor installed. I hired a guy to do it for me because this is a really expensive thing and I want it done properly. So let's see how it's done. This is what the garage floor looked like before we did anything to it. Obviously, it's super dusty. There's some cracks in it. We'll come back to that in a second. And the wall is also super destroyed. Anyways, unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually record as much as I wanted to because this is actually when the Forza Horizon 5 preview session was. So I was going in, filming a video on Forza Horizon 5, running outside, filming a little bit, running back inside, running outside and stuff. So there's definitely a little bit missing here. You'll see what I mean. Anyways, the guys brought out some super cool equipment. This is a wireless RC diamond cutter that shaves a tiny bit off the floor and sands it down so it's super smooth, and it collects a bunch of the dust so it doesn't make a huge mess. The same thing had to go onto the walls to make those super smooth. Here are some of the cracks and holes that I was talking about in the floor. Eventually, the guys brought out a vacuumed up the entire floor to make it again as clean as possible, and patched up some of those holes. I think you can now see why I hired professionals to do this. There is no way that, one, I'm gonna be able to do the same quality of work as these guys. There's no way I have all the same tools as these guys. And 3, there is not enough time for me to do a job like this. The guys who I've got have already put in a full days of work, and they have 2 or 3 days more to do, which is just insane. Let me show you where we are right now at the end of day number 1. Take a look at this though. This is all of the dust that actually came off of the garage floor just from sanding it a tiny little amount. It's crazy. After they vacuum up the floor, make it super clean, then they put this concrete or cement down on the floor. This fills up all of the little holes to make it super smooth, and then they even do the same on the walls. Anywhere we had little issues, they've now put this parging on the walls. And that was it for day number 1. For day number 2, the guys brought out all of the flakes and all of the epoxy to actually start getting some product onto the floor. And the way this stuff works is it comes in 2 parts, a part A and a part B. And when you're ready to go, you mix those 2 parts together. And as soon as you do, your clock is ticking because this stuff dries very quickly. And you need to throw the flakes down as fast as possible while making the floor and the walls super smooth with all of that epoxy. So you can see the guys doing that here. One guy's using a squeegee along the floor to make it super smooth, and the other guy's actually using just a paint roller to get all of the walls. You can actually see the cool shoes they're wearing as well, so they don't leave marks on the floor. Anyways, I went in to film another Forza Horizon 5 video, and by the time I came out, the guys had already thrown all of the flakes nearly onto the floor. But you can kind of see how they do it. They're just kind of tossing them on, and they let it dry. Now, though, the floor is finally finished, and we can actually walk on it now, and it is so cool. So let me talk you through it. It's actually impossible to see on camera, but the floor is actually textured now. All of these little flakes in the floor build up little ridges and little dips in the floor, so when you actually rub your hand along it, it's not smooth, it's like bumpy. One of the #1 complaints I read online about epoxy garage floors is they can be unbelievably slippery and dangerously slippery when they get wet. What all of those little bumps and ridges are gonna do though is allow us to get more grip on the floor, which is gonna make it a lot safer and more comfortable to walk around on, so that is really good. Right now though, we're still waiting for the new garage door to get delivered, so while we're waiting, we're gonna get some of the finishing touches onto the garage. For example, we need some trim that's gonna go all the way around all of the walls over here. That's gonna give us a super clean look. We're also gonna close up the hole in the ceiling. That hole has been super useful for running a bunch of wires, but we're gonna close up that hole again to make the garage look a little bit better. And that's actually exactly what it does. Something super small like this really changes the space entirely. You can also see what we're doing with the trim that's actually really interesting. We're hanging the trim off of the drywall just a little bit so it hides all of this nastiness underneath and makes the space look way better. Obviously, I still need to paint all of this trim. And speaking of painting, I also went to paint this drywall piece that was gonna go up into the ceiling and cover up that hole. And while I was doing that, it kind of just started falling apart in my hands. So I decided, no, we're just going to need to buy some new ones. So I decided to paint these instead. These are our 2x6s. You'll see what they're used for in a second. And that was it for day number 1 of adding the finishing touches onto the garage renovations. For day number 2, I went to the store, bought a fresh piece of drywall instead of trying to reuse that old one. I painted this guy up and you can already see the difference that it's making. I also got a piece of insulation that's going to sit on the inside of this and keep the heat in the garage even more. While I was doing that, my dad was working on this like rim to actually seat the drywall on. And there is that piece of insulation that didn't actually hold with the glue. I actually had to end up screwing the insulation into the drywall to get it to stick. The glue just wasn't doing it. Anyways, fast forward, I'm not even joking, a month and a half, and I finally got the phone call that the garage door finally arrived and we could schedule it to get installed. So, me being me, I procrastinated and I eventually had to go and do this. Add our second coat of paint to those 2x6s. Those are going to be those things that allow the garage door to go all the way up to the ceiling. And then since I was here, I was like, let's charge up the Mustang so the battery doesn't get dead like it did last year. And then we started up. Anyways, here you can see some of the stuff that we're going to be replacing. This is our old garage motor, which is just kind of old-fashioned with all these wires hanging all over the place. The old garage door was made of wood and it warped actually, and this is our new garage door, which looks 1,000 times better. Not only is it a different color, which also makes the house look a little bit better, but it's got some windows to allow some light in. It's insulated, so we're no longer going to lose a ton of heat out of the garage door. And it's also way quieter than our old one, which is 1,000 times better. And you can already see what I mean. The weather is turning up here in Canada. It's getting super, super cold super quickly. I don't think my Mustang has ever had snow on it before, and let's just say driving that in the snow would be rather sketchy. Probably wouldn't recommend that. Anyways, you can see our 2x6s that I painted before. Those go all the way up to the ceiling. There is our new garage motor and our high lift rails that go all the way up to the ceiling. You can actually see the difference that it makes. It goes maybe like 2 feet higher, which is way, way cleaner. This new garage door also has a bunch of really cool features, like it's got Wi-Fi built into it, so you can open and close the garage door from your phone. It's also got a battery built into it, so say you lose power, you can still open and close your garage door just by clicking the button. And you can use everything straight from your phone, which is super convenient. So it was definitely a couple of crazy weeks as we had so much stuff going on, from doing the little jobs like getting the trim installed, patching up the hole in the ceiling, or the bigger jobs like the new garage door and even the floor itself. No joke though, the new garage door and all of the installation that we had installed in the last episode make a massive difference. Last winter, the average temperature in the garage was like -10 degrees, which is really, really cold. It's also not great for the cars. Right now though, I've had the heater running for a couple of hours and it's currently plus 16 degrees in here, which is super, super warm. We are definitely going to be able to do some work in here now. Not to mention the new garage door is so much quieter than the old one. Take a listen. Yeah, it's not even close. The new one's super, super quiet. Obviously, there's still a lot of stuff that we need to do here in the garage, so let me show you what we need to do. And one of these things I actually need your guys' help with. One of the more basic things I want to do is I want to take bike number 1 and bike number 2 and actually get it up on the wall here. I do need to repaint this wall just one more time, just so it's like perfectly even, and then order a bike rack and get those bikes off of the floor. Like I said before, we didn't install all of the trim pieces, so now we can do that since the garage door is in. Obviously, we need to get that third light installed as well. It's sitting right on the floor, but before we get that installed, I do want to repair the ceiling where the old garage door opener was. Another one of the things I want to do is I really want to get some sound panels up onto the ceiling. I've actually ordered some. They're going to be arriving on Christmas Eve of all days, but hopefully those sound panels should help cancel out some of the echo in here. And then this is actually the last major thing that I want to do. This is going to be like my future workshop. I need to find a really good place to get some garage cabinets. So if you guys have any suggestions, I really want to get a big cabinet right here, a bench right here, and some overhead cabinets up here. I really don't know what brand is the best, so if you guys have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments down below. And then yes, at some point we do need to get some actual stairs in here so we can actually leave the garage and go back into the house. I've been using the race ramp for a while, which does work, but probably not the permanent solution. Unfortunately though, a lot of the jobs that I mentioned, we're gonna have to wait until until next year to do, because at the time of recording this video, there's actually already way too much snow outside for either of these cars to head out there. So we're gonna need to wait for it to get a little bit warmer, and that's only gonna be next year. So do not worry, this is not the end for the Ultimate Garage. This series will continue, but it might be a little while before the next episode. So until then, thank you so much for watching. If you guys do have any suggestions for those cabinets, please let me know. Obviously, things are back ordered right now, so it's gonna take a little while to get anything anyways. Until next time though, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon. See you then. Bye.